Enemies on the battlefield. The war had lasted too long. Planets were burning and people were tired of fighting. But still, the war between humans and the alien race called Vylari continued. On one of the broken moons near planet Virex 9, a deadly battle was taking place. Jack Carter, a young human soldier, was crawling through the dust. His arm was bleeding. His helmet was cracked. Around him, his squad was gone. Dead, vanished. Only smoke and silence were left. He wasn't a hero. He was just trying to survive. Suddenly, enemy drones flew overhead. Jack ducked behind a half-destroyed alien tank. He knew if he moved, they'd shoot him on sight. He had one chance. An old alien escape pod sitting in the corner of the battlefield, half buried in rocks. "Please don't be broken," Jack whispered as he limped toward it. The pod's door was open, just a little. That was a good sign. Maybe it still worked. Inside, the pod was glowing a soft blue. Strange symbols floated in the air. The inside looked warm, clean, and alive. Like it was breathing. Jack had never seen tech like this before. Then he saw her. Antio, alien girl. She was lying inside the pod, eyes closed, skin glowing faintly. She was badly hurt. Her silver armor was cracked. Her long hair was sticky with blood. One leg looked broken. Jack froze. A Vylari. The enemy. She wasn't just any soldier. Her armor had golden marks. High rank. Important. Dangerous. For a second, Jack thought of pulling out his weapon. But his hand was shaking. He was weak. He didn't want to kill a sleeping enemy. That didn't feel right. The pod blinked red. Warning lights. It was designed for two beings. It wouldn't heal unless another life form joined. Jack hesitated. If he didn't get help now, he'd die in minutes. If he stepped inside with her, he didn't know what would happen. "I swear, if you kill me while I sleep, I'll haunt you," he muttered and climbed in. As soon as his body touched the pod's soft walls, everything changed. The door slammed shut. Lights turned green. The pod hummed with power, then darkness moments later. Jack opened his eyes. He felt different. Stronger. Like his body had been fixed with invisible wires. His pain was gone. His cuts were closed. The alien girl was awake too. Her bright purple eyes stared at him. Both of them stayed quiet. Then her lips moved. "Why, can I hear your voice inside my head?" Jack blinked. He hadn't said anything, but he had thought something. "You're in my head too," he said slowly. "This is not good." They sat in silence, both confused, both nervous. The pod had bonded them. Their minds were now linked. Every thought, every emotion, they could feel it. Jack felt her fear. She felt his confusion. He tried to move away, but the pod held them close, like it was forcing them to stay together. "What did this machine do to us?" she asked. Jack didn't know. He wasn't a scientist. He was just a soldier who had wanted to survive. Now he was mentally connected to an alien girl who was supposed to be his enemy. "Great," he muttered. "This day just keeps getting better." She crossed her arms. "Don't be so dramatic. Human." He raised an eyebrow. "Oh, you're funny. Great. I'm stuck in a healing pod with an alien who has jokes. I saved your life, technically. I climbed in here myself. You climbed into my pod." They both stared at each other, annoyed, but deep down, curious. Jack could feel something strange. A memory, not his own. A flash of a Vylari city shining in silver and blue. A sky with 3 moons. "That's your home," he said. She looked surprised. "How did you see that?" "I don't know, it just popped in." Their bond was getting stronger. Outside, a loud sound shook the ground. The pod lit up in warning again. Something, or someone, was coming. Jack looked at her. "Can you walk?" She nodded, just a little. Then, "Let's move, we'll fight later. For now we survive," she sighed. Agreed. Human. As the pod opened, they stepped out into a war-torn world. 2 enemies, now bound together by accident. Neither knew what was coming next. But one thing was clear. They were no longer just soldiers. They were something else. Something more. Mental roommates. The cave was cold. Not freezing, but the kind of cold that crept into your bones and whispered, "You don't belong here." Jack and Elira had managed to escape the battlefield. Barely. The healing pod had carried them away in emergency mode and landed in a hidden canyon deep below the surface. No soldiers, no drones, no signals, just silence, and the voice in Jack's head that wasn't his. "You breathe too loud." Elira's mental voice echoed through his skull. Jack sighed out loud. "I swear, if I could unplug this telepathic Wi-Fi, I would." "What is Wi-Fi?" "Exactly my point." They set up camp near a glowing crystal wall. The alien structure in the cave gave off enough warmth and light to survive. For now, Jack checked their supplies. Almost nothing. The pod had healed them, but it hadn't packed a lunch. He pulled out a protein bar, half melted, full of sadness, and offered it to her. She looked at it like it was poison. "It's food," Jack explained. "It looks like compressed garbage." He shrugged. "Tastes like it, too." She took a small bite, chewed, froze. "It's worse than I imagined," Jack laughed. A real honest laugh, his first in weeks. Then he immediately stopped, realizing he could feel her judging him inside his own head. This is going to be a nightmare, isn't it? The mind link gets weird. They spent the next few hours trying to understand their bond. Elira sat cross-legged, focusing on her breathing. Jack tried to do the same, but meditation wasn't his thing. His thoughts were like a wild raccoon with caffeine, jumping from memories to old songs to food to random weird questions. And now Elira was hearing everything. "You think about bacon a lot," Jack groaned. "Please stop narrating my brain. You tried to kiss someone named Ellie once and she punched you? That's private, don't read that. She sounds like a strong female, I like her." Jack buried his face in his hands. "Kill me now." But it wasn't just embarrassing memories. Their connection was growing. Sometimes he could feel what she felt. Flashes of fear, hunger, even loneliness. Once he saw a memory of her as a child, running through a silver forest with her sister, laughing, carefree. It didn't feel like spying. It felt like understanding, and it scared him. The cave has secrets later that night, or what they guessed was night. They explored deeper into the cave. They found ruins, ancient alien markings, old tech. It wasn't Valari tech. It was something older, darker, forgotten. Elira touched a wall and flinched. This place remembers things, painful things. Jack didn't like the sound of that. Like what? Before she could answer, the cave shook. From the shadows, something crawled out. Tall, thin, bone white with many arms. It had no face, just a mouth full of teeth and a strange, whispering sound that made their heads ache. "Run!" Elira's voice screamed inside Jack's head before either of them moved. They ran, hunted by shadows. They dodged through tunnels, climbed ledges, slipped on wet stones. The creature chased, them always a few steps behind, silent, fast. Jack fired his pulse pistol, useless. Elira tried using her energy blade, but it passed through the thing like smoke. "It's not alive in the normal way," she yelled. No kidding. They dove into a narrow passage just as the creature slashed behind them. It missed by inches. Breathing, hard, they finally stopped in a hidden chamber. There, glowing in the center, was a strange console, symbols floating above it. Elira moved closer. "I've seen this in our history scrolls," she whispered. "This tech is from the Precursor War, long before our time." Jack stared at the console. "Can it help us?" She pressed her hand against it. The console lit up, and their minds were pulled into a vision. The vision, they saw a battlefield of stars, humans, Valari, fighting like before. But then something else appeared. A third species, giant machine-like creatures. They weren't alive, they consumed life. The Scar. Your people fought them, and mine did too, Elira said, and we forgot. The vision ended, Back in the cave, the console shut down. They were alone again, but no longer confused. Something bigger than both their species had caused the war, or used it to cover their return. The Scar were coming back, and now, Jack and Elira were the only ones who knew. The new rule, they made a quiet agreement. No more fighting each other, Jack said. Elira nodded. Not until we survive this. Still breathing loud, though. Jack rolled his eyes. You're lucky I don't snore. You do. And for a moment they both smiled. Just a little. Enemies start talking, the cave was lying to them. For the first time in days, Jack and Elira sat in silence. Not peaceful silence, the kind that hangs in the air when you've just seen the universe lie to your face. A few hours ago, they thought they were just two unlucky enemies trapped in a cave. Now, they knew the war was a distraction, and the real monsters, the Scar, were waking up. Somewhere deep underground, they were moving, breathing, watching. Jack rubbed his temples. Okay, so your people forgot. My people definitely forgot. But how do you forget a galaxy-eating death race with teeth for faces? Elira sat on a stone ledge, staring into nothing. We didn't forget. We were made to forget. Jack blinked. What? The precursor tech. It doesn't just store data, it rewrites it. Memories, history, whole timelines. A pause. Jack frowned. I hate this cave. Alien History 101. With extra trauma, Elira closed her eyes. Through their mental link, she showed him more. Visions of ancient cities, floating, above lava oceans, alien scholars arguing over a dangerous plan, vaults being sealed with glowing symbols. The Vailari Council chose to hide the truth. The humans chose to study the Scar technology and weaponize it. Jack felt sick. Wait, you're saying both sides are responsible? Elira nodded slowly. Yes. We both started the war, and we both lied to our people. For a moment the silence returned, but this time it felt heavier, like the cave itself was judging them. Meanwhile, outside far above their hidden location, a search team landed, not humans, not Vailari. Something else. 6 Scar drones crawled over the battlefield wreckage like insects with knives for legs. They scanned the burned escape pod. A strange sound, like metal screaming, echoed through the air. The leader drone clicked once. Target located. They began to dig. A game of truths. Back in the cave, Jack and Elira sat across from each other, a small fire between them. They weren't fighting anymore. Now, they were figuring each other out. Jack broke the silence. Okay, let's make a deal. Elira raised an eyebrow. You tell me something true. I tell you something true. No filters, no lies. Elira tilted her head. Dangerous game. Jack shrugged. Everything else in here wants to kill us. Might as well be honest. She thought for a second, then nodded. Fine, I'll start. She looked straight into his eyes. I was trained to kill humans by the age of 11. Jack blinked. Cool. Love that. Real comforting. Your turn. Jack sighed. I once cried during a shampoo commercial, the one with the slow piano music and the dog who gets adopted. Elira stared. That's your truth? Jack grinned. Hey, it wrecked me emotionally. Trust forms, barely. They kept sharing secrets, regrets, memories. She told him about her sister who vanished in a bombing raid. He told her about his best friend, gone on his first mission. They weren't enemies anymore. They were two people caught in something much bigger. The bond between them pulsed. Stronger now. They didn't just share words, they felt each other's pain and hope. But just as things started to feel slightly safe, the cave roared. They found them. The walls shook. Rocks tumbled. Jack jumped up. Please tell me that's not a cave bear. Elira's face paled. No, worse. Metal screeches echoed down the tunnels. The Scar had arrived. 3 drones crawled into view, eyes glowing like molten lava. Their arms split open into spinning blades. Elira pulled out her plasma dagger. Jack grabbed his pulse pistol. We can't fight them head on. We don't have a choice. They ran. Trap or salvation. Deeper into the cave they ran, chased by the scar, until they found another chamber. Different. Not a ruin. This was alive. The walls pulsed with light. A precursor chamber. Untouched. Hidden for centuries. In the center, a pillar stood with 2 handprints. One human. One Valari. Jack looked at her. Think it's a trap? Definitely. Cool, let's touch it. They placed their hands together. The chamber lit up. Energy exploded from the pillar, knocking the scar drones back, melting their metal limbs into ash. The cave sealed itself. A new mission. When the light faded, Jack and Elira stood in a now quiet chamber. In front of them, a floating sphere appeared. It spoke in both their languages at once. You have awakened the legacy bond. The scar have returned. You are now its guardians. Jack stared. Elira whispered. What does that mean? The sphere pulsed again. Your bond is now permanent. Your minds are one. Together you must deliver the truth to both worlds, nor both will fall. Jack looked at her. She looked at him. Silence. Then Jack said, I hope you like shampoo commercials, partner. The real enemy. The cave had collapsed behind them. Jack and Elira stood outside in the dim red light of Virex 9's third moon. Dust swirled through the air like ash from a dying world. The heat was dry, but the silence was worse. I miss the cave, Jack muttered. You almost died in that cave, Elira replied. I miss the not being chased by murderbots part. They looked at the sphere still floating between them, the legacy node. It hovered like a calm, robotic jellyfish, blinking softly with precursor tech. You have 48 standard hours. Deliver the message or extinction protocols will activate. Extinction protocols. Fun, Jack said. Sounds relaxing. Elira didn't answer. Her face was pale, not with fear, but with knowledge. She knew, something she hadn't told Jack, and that silence was louder than any explosion. Hunted in daylight, they moved fast. The terrain around them was dead. Scorched canyons, shattered rock formations, broken war machines half buried in sand. The scar were somewhere behind them. Not far. Jack glanced at the floating node. So where's the closest transmitter? There is an outpost. Northeast. Sector Delta 7, built by both factions, long abandoned. Wait. Human and Vailari worked together? Elira looked away. Once. Before the war. Jack narrowed his eyes. You gonna keep dropping history bombs on me every few hours, or should I just expect it now? I didn't think it mattered. It matters a lot, mind meld buddy. They reached the outpost by nightfall. It was massive, an old hybrid facility, blending human steel with Vailari crystal. Half of it was collapsed, vines wrapped around broken watchtowers and rusted drones. The main gates were shut tight, but something was off. Too quiet. No creatures. No wind. Just stillness. Jack's hand twitched near his pistol. This place is a trap. Elira nodded. But it might be our only chance. They entered. Inside, lights flickered, screens blinked on by themselves. An old human AI greeted them with a cheerful voice far too happy for a murder base. Welcome to Harmony Station. Please log in to receive hugs, snacks, and maybe a chance to not die horribly. Jack raised an eyebrow. I like this AI already. Betrayal in the shadows as they searched for the transmitter, a figure appeared. Human. Black armor. No insignia. Face hidden behind a visor. Jack froze. That's impossible. The figure removed. The helmet. Captain Mira Chen, Jack said, stunned. His old squad leader. Alive. She didn't smile. I've been tracking you for days, she said. And I'm here to bring you in. Jack laughed, confused. In? I'm not the enemy. Chen raised her gun. But you bonded with one. Elira stepped forward. We discovered the truth. The war is a lie. The real threat is... I know, Chen said calmly. But Command doesn't want the truth. Jack blinked. Wait, you knew? Chen nodded. And I buried it. Like a good soldier. Then, she shot him. The bond reacts time slowed. The bullet hit Jack's shoulder. He fell back with a scream. Elira screamed too, not in shock, in pain, because when he was hit, she felt it. The bond lit up like lightning. Elira's eyes glowed. Her skin shimmered with ancient symbols. She raised her hand and the entire room pulsed with energy. The AI short-circuited. Lights exploded. Chen flew back, unconscious. Jack groaned. Okay, so apparently getting shot activates your magic glow. Powers. That's good to know. Escape and consequence. They didn't kill Chen. They locked her in a containment pod. Elira patched Jack's wound. He winced as she touched the burn. You okay? She asked softly. Define okay, he muttered. I got shot by my own boss. We're being hunted by alien death bugs and, oh yeah, our brains are syncing up like we're on a honeymoon. Data plan. Elira looked down. I'm sorry. For what? For bringing you into this. Jack paused, then smiled weakly. Nah, it's kind of fun. The final transmission. They reached the transmitter room. Elira activated it with her code. Jack uploaded the legacy node's warning. Across hundreds of systems, a pulse was sent, a message of truth. The war is a lie. The Scar are real, and they are coming. Jack looked at the stars through the broken ceiling. Do you think they'll listen? No, Elira said. But maybe. Enough of them will. Then, the ground shook. A sound echoed across the canyon. The Scar had found them. And this time, they weren't sending drones. They were coming themselves. The bond deepens. The stars looked different now. Not because they'd moved. Stars didn't care about wars, but because Jack and Elira could finally see what they were fighting for. Not orders, not revenge, not victory. Survival. A moment of stillness. They were hiding in the wreckage of an old star cruiser that had crashed years ago, half buried in a canyon, broken, but still giving shelter. Jack sat on a cold metal floor, wrapping a new bandage over his gunshot wound. Elira sat across from him, hands glowing faintly, her expression distant. She was thinking again. He knew because he was thinking again, and it was hard to tell whose thoughts were whose anymore. Stop remembering that shampoo. Commercial, she whispered. You cried too, Jack muttered. Don't lie. She rolled her eyes but smiled just a little. Flashback. Elira's truth. Suddenly Jack was in a memory. Not his. Hers. A towering white palace. Floating towers. Alien guards in silver armor. Elira, much younger. Training in a crystal courtyard. She was royalty. Not a soldier. Not just Vailari. A princess. The memory shifted. Her father, the High Chancellor, standing with stern eyes. We must keep the truth hidden, Elira. If they ever learn about the Scar, we lose control. You knew this the whole time, Jack asked, stunned. She nodded. They wanted me to forget. But the bond brought it back. Flashback, Jack's past. Then it flipped. His turn. A small farmhouse. Earth. A boy hiding under a table while sirens blared outside. His parents arguing. His brother, Marcus, grabbing a rifle and walking out the door. Marcus never came back. I joined to avenge him, Jack said. Turns out, I don't even know who the real enemy is. They sat in silence, bound by wounds too deep for words. The calm before the Scar, they left the cruiser wreck and climbed a ridge. Below them, lights shimmered in the dust. An old satellite station. Human-made, still barely functional, a signal beacon. They had one shot to call for help. Not from Earth, not from the Vailari homeworld, but from orbit. A rogue smuggler station known as the Drift floated above Virex 9, neutral ground, no allegiance, no rules. They could upload everything there, but there was one problem. The Scar were already there. The Scar warlord appears before they could move. The sky rippled. A dark shape appeared above the horizon, twisting, floating. A ship, but alive, breathing. Made of metal and bone. From it descended a figure, 10 feet tall, cloaked in black armor fused with organic parts. No face, just a mask of screaming metal. The Scar warlord. Jack's blood ran cold. Elira dropped to one knee, overwhelmed by the pressure in the air. It wasn't just powerful, it was ancient. The warlord turned toward them, though they were still far away, and spoke in a voice that sounded like 1,000 whispers. "We remember you, bonded ones. We will unmake your minds." Jack clenched his fists. "He's talking to us." "No," Elira whispered. "He's talking to our bond." Emergency extraction. They ran. The Scar warlord didn't chase, but his drones did. Thousands of them. Just as the sky seemed to split open with death and metal, a shadow passed overhead. A ship, old, rusty, but fast, the Iron Wraith. Its side door opened mid-air. "Get in!" shouted a voice. Elira grabbed Jack's hand and they leaped. The ship's magnetic tether caught them mid-fall and pulled them inside just as Scar drones slammed into the canyon floor below. Inside, the pilot turned. Woman, tall, half human, half something else, sharp eyes, even sharper sarcasm. "Welcome to the Drift," she said. "You two just became the galaxy's most wanted power couple. What comes next? On board the Iron Wraith safe?" For now, Jack and Elira sat near the engine room. The ship hummed like a sleeping beast. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Their bond was stronger now. More than a link. A part of them. And in the stars above, forces were gathering. Human generals, Vailari elites, Scar warlords. The truth was out, and someone was going to try to kill them for it. The question was, who would get there first? The escape plan. The Iron Wraith flew like a drunk falcon with an attitude problem. But it got the job done. Jack clung to a metal handrail, trying not to vomit. Elira stood perfectly balanced, her silver eyes scanning the stars ahead. Behind them, the planet Virex 9 was getting smaller. Below, the Scar warlord's ship loomed like a cosmic parasite, spreading black tendrils across the surface. But they weren't running anymore. They were heading straight into chaos. Welcome to the Drift. The Drift wasn't a station. It was a city, if cities were built from stolen parts, duct tape, and the dreams of desperate smugglers. Floating above the atmosphere, the Drift was where outlaws, info-brokers, and rebels came to trade secrets and lives. As the Iron Wraith docked, the pilot, Captain Naira Vex, lit a cigarette made from starweed in contempt. "You've got 5 hours before someone figures out who you are," she said, exhaling a violet puff. "Then it's every species, for itself." Jack raised an eyebrow. "So, no security?" Naira laughed. "Honey, this place is the security problem. The message must go." Out inside the Drift, they found the comm tower, old tech, protected by a paranoid ex-military engineer named Dax, who talked to his coffee cup like it was his best friend. "We can send the legacy signal," Dax said, typing with one hand and stroking the coffee mug with the other. "But once it's out, it can't be taken back. Everyone's gonna know. Humans, Vailari, the Scar." Jack nodded. "Do it," Elira hesitated. "We need to warn them, but also prepare them." "Prepare them for what?" Jack asked. She turned to him, voice low. "For what the bond is turning us into." The bond evolves later in their room aboard the Drift. Jack noticed something. His pulse was faster, his reflexes sharper. He could hear things, smell things. And Elira? She was glowing again, not just when she used power, Always. You okay? He asked. She nodded slowly. I can feel your heartbeat. That's romantic? Creepy? Not sure. She stepped closer. I think we're changing? Jack looked at his arm, veins glowing faintly with light. Not blue, not red, something new. They weren't just bonded anymore. They were becoming something else. The Scar's true plan back in the comm room, Dax shouted. Something's blocking the signal. They rushed in. A hologram flickered to life. The Scar warlord. You speak truth, but you are blind, it said. The war is not the distraction, you are. Then it showed them, not a fleet, not a bomb. A machine, deep in the Valari core system, one that turned entire planets into Scar. They didn't just kill civilizations, they converted them. And the bond? The psychic link between Jack and Elira. It wasn't just an accident. It was the key. Betrayal. Yep, again. Before they could react, the door burst open. Captain Naira. Blaster in hand. I'm sorry, she said, but you two are worth a lot of credits. A squad of bounty hunters filed in behind her. Elira stepped forward, energy blade glowing. You're selling us? Naira shrugged. Times are tough, and the Scar pay an antimatter. Jack was already reaching for his weapon when, boom, the wall exploded. A figure stepped through the smoke. Captain Mira Chen. Alive. Bleeding. Pissed. I said I'd bring you in, Jack, she growled. But now? I think I'll just help you burn this place down. The escape plan, everything went sideways. Blasters, screams. Elira pulling power from the station's core to melt walls like wax. Jack and Chen teamed up, gunning through bounty. Hunters. Naira vanished in the chaos. Dax, clutching his coffee mug like a grenade, yelled, I rigged the whole tower to blow if anyone messed with my signal. Jack stared. You what? Let's see how the Scar like a hot cup of boom. They transmitted the signal, then ran like hell. The final message as the drift burned behind them. Jack and Elira stood on the deck of a stolen ship. The signal had been sent. Every system across the galaxy would now know. The Scar are coming. The bond is evolving. And two enemies, once strangers, are the only ones who can stop it. Jack turned to Elira. So, what are we now? She didn't answer with words. Instead, she placed her hand over his chest, where his heart glowed faintly beneath his skin. Something new, she said. Something dangerous. The final choice. The stars were on fire. Jack and Elira watched, from the bridge of the stolen ship, the skyborne ember. Below them, two worlds prepared for war. Earth's military fleet moved into position near the orbit of Valari Prime. The Valari High Council's ships glowed like angry gods. And in the shadows beyond, the Scar Armada waited, silent, watching, ready, and then they moved. The final warning, the legacy signal, had gone viral. Every corner of known space had seen the footage. The truth about the Scar. The ancient precursor. Technology. The forced amnesia. The bond between a human and an alien that wasn't supposed to exist. Some believed it, others wanted them dead for it. Jack adjusted the collar of his now fried combat armor. So, Earth called me a traitor. Valari called you a genetic mistake, and the Scar want to use our brains as Wi-Fi antennas. Elira smiled grimly. At least we're popular. They had one last option. An ancient precursor station hidden in the Exo-Wraith Nebula, a forgotten failsafe meant to stop the Scar if they ever returned. But to activate it, they had to give something up. Final confrontations as they entered the nebula. A fleet blocked their path, not Scar, Earth's 7th Armada, on the lead ship, Admiral Corrin, Jack's former commanding officer, battle-scarred, cold, calculated. You had promise, Carter, the Admiral said via comms. Now you're just an alien's puppet. Jack sighed. Wow, super original. Corrin raised a hand. Stand down. Surrender the girl. We'll deal with the Scar our way. Jack leaned forward, face calm. You can't fight infection with... Bullets, you fight it with truth. The Admiral didn't listen, the fleet opened fire. The last stand begins. The skyborne ember dove through the nebula, engines screaming. Elira rerouted energy through the ship's core, using their bond to synchronize the systems. Jack manned the weapons, shooting like a madman on caffeine. They weren't trying to win. They were trying to get to the precursor station. One last hope. The scar appeared moments later, a wave of black metal and death. Two factions, human and alien, suddenly realized they had a bigger problem. Inside the failsafe they landed hard. The station was old, dead, silent. But as soon as they entered, the bond reacted. Lights flickered on, ancient doors opened, a holographic voice spoke. Legacy bond recognized. Initiate scar cleanse protocol? Yes, Elira said, but then came the choice. To activate it, one of them had to stay behind. Permanently, a neural anchor, one mind to stabilize the energy. Jack stepped forward without hesitation. No, Elira said. Don't you dare. He smiled. You've got royalty blood, destiny, power. I'm just the guy who likes terrible protein bars and cries at dog commercials. Jack, but before she could finish, he kissed her soft, real. Then he stepped into the core. The sacrifice. The machine came alive. Energy swirled around him, pain lanced through his body, but he smiled through it. Memories poured out of him, into the station. Elira screamed. Their bond strained, fractured, but didn't break. The station activated. The cleansing across the stars, scar ships exploded into dust, their neural networks overloaded, their bodies disintegrated. On Earth, on Valari Prime, people looked up and saw the sky burn gold. Peace, for the first time in centuries, and one man's name echoed in the silence. Jack Carter. 1 year later, the galaxy was rebuilding. The war was over. Jack's face became a symbol of unity, a human who gave up everything to save both species. And Elira? She led the new interplanetary alliance, calm, fierce, wiser than her years. She visited the precursor station often, talked to the empty room, until, one day, the lights flickered, the console glowed faintly, and a voice whispered in her mind. Missed me? Her eyes filled with tears, and the stars, once on fire, now lit the way forward.